The Bear is a show that has the sauce. And while I could talk for hours about what makes this chaotic show incredible, I want to focus on what makes this show feel different. It's the dialogue.
This is your brother's house. I was running it fine without you.
Why didn't you leave it to you then?
Because at the end of the day, this show is about people. And if you cared more about the actual cooking than the people, well, you'd be watching the Food Network. So let's talk about the masterclass of dialogue that is The Bear. We are back. No, thank you, please. Hold the applause. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Swig Spot. It's been a while, hope you're doing well, and I'm stoked to be back and kicking this off again with a heater of a topic, because today I'm going to talk about The Bear. This is actually a video I've been wanting to tackle for over a year now, basically the entire time I've been absent. I started working on the script, life got busy, I'm back, we're going to talk about it. The Bear has quickly become one of my favorite TV shows of all time. As I watched, I quickly found myself constantly thinking, yes, this is how people actually talk. This is what conversations sound like. It sounds real and it sounds raw. So how does The Bear excel where so many other shows fall flat? It's all about mastering what I'll refer to as the realistic conversation. It's a real technical industry term, I know, so bear with me, we'll talk about it. It can get confusing. It actually can be more complicated than you might assume at first glance because realistic conversations don't work for a majority of scripts. Now, if I had to boil this down to just one word on why it works in The Bear, I'd say it's trust. Trust sits at the center of the very high contrast dialogue that is in The Bear. You see, every scene in The Bear has one of two purposes: to either drive chaos or diffuse it. How is trust incorporated into these really chaotic scenes? Because the writers are focused on the feeling of the kitchen, the chaos of it all. They understand that you don't need to understand every detail in the show. In fact, it's probably better that you didn't. It helps things feel more chaotic and more overwhelming to you as the viewer. Now, when Sydney first arrives in the kitchen, she's there initially to prep what's called family.
Salute, mi familia. Salute.
The writers never really explain what family is, because ultimately, it does not matter. They trust you as the audience to figure it out. And guess what? Even if you don't, it's not that important. It doesn't, hinder the show at all. Nothing changes. What is important is the disjointed and disorderly feelings from the kitchen and its recent changes. The type of chaos that you can only feel by playing some Overcooked 2 with some close friends and family. By letting go of trying to teach the audience about the ins and outs of the kitchen, the writers are able to focus on the emotions. They allow characters to interrupt each other more frequently, they argue over nothing in particular, and they get into full-on shouting matches where nothing can be understood by anyone. This is how real people argue when they're upset. We're disrespectful, we're nasty, and we're inconsiderate.
You're such a dick!
Every day I wake up and I hope you're dead. Dead like if I can guarantee Henry would be okay, I'd hope you get an illness and then get hit by a car and die.
Now, a lot of screenwriting tries to balance multiple purposes as they write scenes, and while it's not an inherently bad thing, it means that the focus is split. It's hard to deliver that same emotional impact when you're trying to convey a message at the same time. Take this scene from The Avengers, for example.
Why S.H.I.E.L.D. is using the Tesseract to build weapons of mass destruction.
Because of him.
Me. Last year, Earth had a visitor from another planet who had a grudge match that leveled a small town. We learned that not only are we not alone, but we are hopelessly, hilariously outgunned.
My people want nothing but peace with your planet.
But you're not the only people out there, are you? And you're not the only threat. The world's filling up with people who can't be matched. They can't be controlled.
Like you controlled the cube?
Your work with the Tesseract is what drew Loki to it, and his allies. It is a signal to all the realms that the Earth is ready for a higher form of war.
A higher form?
You forced our hand. We had to come up with
a nuclear deterrent.
because that always calms everything right down.
Remind me again how you made your fortune, Stark.
I'm sure if he still made weapons, Stark would be neck deep.
Wait, hold on. How is this now about me?
In this scene, the Avengers start to argue with one another, which should leave us with this sense of chaos and distrust and disunity. But they also want to get into this philosophical idea of whether or not it was right for S.H.I.E.L.D. to build weapons of mass destruction, blah, 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 blah. And while that is obviously a much more globally impactful idea than cooking some sandwiches, compared to this scene in The Bear.
Natalie, I'm trying to fucking help.
This is unacceptable.
It's called being proactive.
Okay, what were you thinking?
It was really dangerous.
Okay, you guys
Isn't
stop
that dangerous?
Every time you help,
Telling me not to help. Don't tell me not to help.
Yo.
That's not being helpful. I've been here since the beginning. You've been here 2 seconds.
What's going on?
Show some respect, kid.
Oh, respect.
Hey, some fucking respect.
Why would I respect
No,
you?
What's going on?
He tried to fucking steal power from our neighbors.
Stealing
Why do we need to
anything. I
steal
borrowed
power?
an outlet from a
Amperage.
neighbor.
Amperage?
Yes.
The HVAC doesn't work because we don't have enough amperage.
So I was trying to create the amperage that we need.
Plugged in
You
a
can't
generator.
create amperage.
Yes, you can.
He plugged a generator.
They're my
and it
friends.
blew their fuse.
They are friends of mine.
Are
They're
they
friends of
still?
mine.
Why didn't you call me?
I should have called
We
you.
didn't need to call you if everything is fine.
Everything's not fine.
Everything is fine.
Hi. I'm Claire. Sorry to interrupt.
Now, which of these scenes shows the tension between characters better? The Bear, because the focus on creating that feeling of chaos lends itself to what an argument actually looks like in the real world. Does it matter what actually happened to the amperage or whatever they're calling it? No, what matters is that Carmi finally decides to let someone into his life and everything is a shit show. Gives you that emotional gut punch.
Emotional, damn it!
Now there's just as much trust, if not more, on the other side of the spectrum. The reason many shows don't choose a realistic approach to conversations is because it's pretty boring.
Boring!
So, on-screen characters tend to be very quick and quippy. They almost always know what to say, and while there may be a few filler words sprinkled in here and there, they're brushed over quickly because they're rehearsed quickly in the script, and it doesn't come off natural at all. There's this fear in Hollywood that if you aren't consistently stimulating the viewer's brain, we're going to turn the show off and move on with our life. And in the age of short-form content, that mindset is more prevalent than ever, but not here. We're trusted that we'll stick around, and we do. We have all this pent-up stress and chaos just from watching The Kitchen. We need to diffuse it. As our characters diffuse, we're able to as well, so we watch. These moments are real and they provide room for breathing and understanding the characters and for the characters to understand each other, and there's long silences, a plethora of filler words, and a lot of repeated words as characters really search themselves for the meaning of what they want to say. It makes what they say more meaningful and believable. Take one of my favorite scenes in the whole show, for example. Carmi's monologue in season 1. Now, if you don't know this, this scene is 7 minutes long, so I'm not going to show any of it because I think you should just watch the whole thing. And it's 7 minutes. I'm not going to put it in the video. But it's 7 minutes. 7 long minutes. That may not sound like a lot, but when you're considering a show that's 20 or 30 minutes, you're looking at a quarter to a third of your runtime. Now, obviously, the script is incredible, and Jeremy Allen White is a phenomenal actor, and so put 2 and 2 together, it's gonna work. But can you imagine trying to pitch a 7-minute, one-shot monologue to the studio? Sounds like insanity to me. But it works, because the show has built a scenario in which a 7-minute monologue is a breath of fresh air. Now look, this video is not to imply that all screenwriters should write exactly like this. They shouldn't. It won't work on like 99% of projects. This video is to highlight that the Bears screenwriters were able to craft something incredible by leaning into the show's core elements and creating this pendulum of chaos and diffusion, which has made making beef sandwiches some of the most thrilling TV I have ever seen. Anyways, thanks for sticking around, guys. I absolutely love The Bear. I cannot wait for season 3 to come out in, I think it's just under a month now. Let me know your thoughts on the video, on the show. Make sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and like always, I'll catch you guys in the next one. And I promise it won't be a year in between videos again. I promise.